The Saudi League is currently trying to sign pretty much everybody. Benzema, Kante, Wilfred Zaha, you name a player, the Saudi League is trying to sign him currently. That's basically the reality of the football transfer window right now. So let's just go ahead and dive straight into this. In general, how are you feeling about the Saudi League offering these huge contracts to basically every big name player in European football right now?
I mean, is anybody too surprised? I mean, I think the domino effect, the patient zero for this was Cristiano Ronaldo when he was the one that take that first big step. Because look, this isn't a new thing to where a certain country is trying to build up their football. I mean, originally it was China. You remember everybody was getting these offers from China. Oscar took one. I mean, Iniesta still currently plays in China,
Japan.
but Japan. I mean, I'm sorry,
And Hulk
but
took one as well.
and we've seen these type of other figures throw big money at these players to try and sway them to bring them to their league. And I think Saudi's just the next one up. They're the next man up, and they're really trying. I mean, I've seen reports that they're investing billions of dollars into signings to try and look. The craziest thing to me is it's not even the clubs making the sign; it's the state. The state signs the players and then assigns them a club.
Yeah.
That one, I don't even know how to feel about that because I think the bigger question has to be asked is how, like, what's the goal here, like, because to me that's not a legitimate league to me, because if the state is making the signings and they decide where each player goes, then how is that being a fan? Right now, a club doesn't really have a sway power. It's because you try and compare it to other teams in Europe, how they make signings, like people that compete, like Premier League teams versus Madrid and Barca and Chelsea or all usually they go to these players. That's their choice to go to what club. Right now, a player doesn't really have a choice to go to what club. It's just kind of like, how much money you're paying me, just tell me where to go.
Yeah.
And I think it's great for the players. I mean, it's a lot, like we mentioned in the past video, that I was happy for Benzema. He's able to get this generational wealth. But in the bigger picture of things, of football, of what their goal is, and that, to me, I think their goal is trying to be a respectable top 5 league. This is not not the greatest, like foundation to, like, oh, there is no sense of, kind of club loyalty in a way, kind of, because it's like clubs can't even make signings. It's like, oh, they just narrowly beat out, Al Nassr just barely missed out on Benzema because the state just decided, no, you don't get Benzema. So it's a bit weird, but I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I mean, I love that another league is trying to compete with the big guys, because that's how it keeps everything competitive. That's the point of sports, to add more competition. So I'm all for it, but it's definitely going to take a long time.
Yeah. Well, look, what I'll say is this. What we are witnessing right now with the Saudi League is unprecedented. There has never been anything like this before in any sport. It has never happened. You can say, well, players have always went to, smaller clubs or smaller leagues towards the tail end of their career. You look at MLS when they brought in David Villa, Pirlo, these types of players, Lampard, Gerrard, they brought in all these players to promote the league, bring legends, European legends to MLS, and to basically make Americans buy into the league. Say, oh, well, I like Frank Lampard, I want to watch NYC, or I like Pirlo, I want to watch NYC, or vice versa, all these things. But what Saudi is doing is that, but to a whole nother degree, because MLS, at least there's a salary cap. You can spend a lot of money, but you can't just spend a crazy amount of money. But what the Saudi League, they have no salary cap. They don't care. 600 million, 400 million, a billion, whatever it takes to sign these players. That's what they're doing. It's literally unprecedented. Now, do I think it'll work? I think it's going to work to generate hype and generate curiosity about the league. Yes. Now, more people are going to be tuning into the Saudi League next season, and people tuned into the Saudi League this season more than ever before because of the presence of Cristiano Ronaldo, and now because of the presence of Benzema, Kante, potentially Sergio Ramos, these types of players. People are going to be interested. But in the long term, I don't know how sustainable this really is, because you look at MLS, they've had to move on from signing the old washed type of players, and they're trying to go get young players. And it's kind of working, but they're not signing the world-class best young players in the world. Now they're basically becoming a feeder league, to where young players will come to MLS, they'll get noticed, and then they go to Europe. It happened with Miguel Almiron in Newcastle. It's happening right now with Atlanta United, having Thiago Almada, who's an Argentina national team World Cup winner. He's going to go and get his big move. So for me, Saudi League, it's their overall goal right now. They're doing it, and I give them 100% props. But in the long term, if they really want to become a serious league, and we'll get into this in a little bit, they're going to have to move away from this and get young players, because young players is what drives football. You have to have the best young talent. That's why you look at the top 5 leagues. They are the top 5 leagues. They have the best youngsters in the world. They're set for the next 10, 20 years. Saudi League, they're set for the next 5 years maybe with these players. So it's not really sustainable. And also, we don't know how long the state is going to keep pumping in billions of dollars into these clubs. I don't know how long they're going to do that. I mean, how much oil money do they really have? I don't know. How long can they do this? I don't know. That's the only question mark, I think, for me right now.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, football's a business. I mean, as much as people want to deny, it's a business, and this is what it is to Saudi. It's a business. And look, the amount of money they're investing right now, they're not going to see probably even half of that back, because they're trying to, you know, do the rocket ship, burst off and burst onto the scene. But like you said, it's not sustainable. You can't just sign every player that's played in a European top 5 league for 50 odd million, give them 50 million a year just because they played a kick a football. I mean, we might see Arthur from Liverpool get a $100 million deal. I mean, it's just not sustainable. And we're going to get into it later about, you know, what it would actually take, because I mean, it would be almost impossible to think just at a club at a league out of nowhere just to burst into the top 5 leagues in the world. It's almost impossible to think of. And like you said, MLS are trying to do it what is realistically the only way to do it, because you have to try and find these young players and build up, and you'll have, you know, actual legends that came from that league, purely from that league. But we'll probably get into that more later.
Well, I think we might as well. We weren't originally going to do it in this order. We might as well transition it into this order. Can Saudi League eventually become a top 5 league? I think we've already a little bit touched on it, but I'll ask it to you. Can Saudi League become a top 5 league in the future? I'm talking even 10, 20 years, 30 years down the line. Yes or no? And then if your answer is yes, what will it take? What has to happen beyond what's already happening for it to actually happen?
I would say it's hard to put a time frame on it. I don't think there'll be a top 5 league within the next 10 years. This is something that would, if they're really serious about it, it's going to take upwards to maybe even, you know, 30 years. Because you have to think that this is a league with no legends, no history, no nothing. You're competing against the Premier League, La Liga, Ligue 1, Bundesliga. You know, these leagues that have legends, that have icons that played for them, like kids that grow up in those, there and around Europe, look up to the players like, oh, I remember when Thierry Henry was playing for Arsenal. I want to be just like that. Or maybe even like, you know, legends of Madrid. I mean, you can go on for, you know, so on and so forth. These legends that played in these specific leagues. So it's hard. You have to sway those young stars from saying, you know what, I'll stay in the Saudi League, which is near impossible, because you give any youngster the chance to go play for the academy of one of those teams, they're leaving in a second, because realistically, it's almost the same way this alludes to even a little bit of the Jude Bellingham situation, to why he chose Real Madrid over Manchester City, because it was just the pedigree, the aura of just a huge club like that, a club with history. And that's what it would ultimately come down to with the league. The league with little history, they're going to have to, you know, develop a lot of money into their own academies, trying to develop their own talent, and hopefully there's some type of loyalty to the, you know, loyal to the soil, that they stay there and they become, you know, like these breakout stars, like we saw Kylian Mbappe do in Ligue 1. That's what it would take to even have a chance, because I mean, I think right now is the Portuguese league a top 5 league right now? I think
it's right on the edge. I think it's 6
it's
or
right
7.
on the edge. And just think of all the legends that have come out of Portugal. I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo, Rui Costa, all these guys that have come out of that league. That's what Saudi would need. They would need those top echelon players to come out of it for them to even have a shot.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, we haven't seen it yet. Maybe with, you know, the buzz of football, them, you know, having the World Cup around, what was it, the next
2030.
World Cup, 2030, that could make some buzz to people want to, you know, some of the locals want to get into football, but it would take such an incredible amount of time. And I mean, I know Ronaldo mentioned that it can be a top 5 league, but Ronaldo, you might not be alive when that happens, man. I mean, it's going to take a long time.
Look, what I'll say is this. If the question is, can Saudi League become a top 5 league? The answer is yes, naturally, because it is possible. But the pathway to becoming a top 5 league is so difficult and so almost impossible that I don't know if it truly is possible for them to become a top 5 league. Because look, right now, they're doing a very good job, like we said, at getting older players with these huge money deals. I mean, N'Golo Kante said there was no way he could turn down that type of money. It's unprecedented generational wealth beyond so much far beyond what he was able to make at Chelsea or Leicester City. That is not even comparable. But in order to become a top 5 league, you have to be like the whole league has to be competitive. Like it has to be real diversity in the league as to where, there's different winners and there's a lot of competition. You look at La Liga, you look at the Premier League, there's always competition. There's always, smaller clubs beating bigger clubs.
Or at least one super team like PSG was. I mean, they're not seen as not a huge league, but they're still a top 5 league.
Right now it's number 5. It fell down to number 6. It came back to number 5. It's always around in that area. It's always
around that area.
Yeah, but in order to truly start to become the top 5 league that Saudi wants to become, it's not gonna happen with you signing Benzema or Kante to 100 million, 200 million deals. It's not what's going to make you a top 5 league. What's going to make you a top 5 league is getting the 2030 World Cup, which now I think they actually will get because of all the buzz around Saudi now, and then starting to lay the foundations of getting youth. That's what's going to drive you to becoming a top 5. You have to get youngsters, and I'm not even just talking about developing Saudi Arabian talents like in Saudi, but I'm talking about Saudi League with their money. They need to try to poach youth academy stars from European leagues. What's stopping them from calling Manchester United's best player in their academy right now, who's 17 years old, and saying, come to Al Ittihad, we'll give you X amount of money. You're unproven, so it'll be less than Benzema, of course. That's what they have to do. And when Saudi starts to develop their own youth academy systems and their own players, and they're able to bring in youngsters from other leagues, whether it's the academies, whether it's just, getting youngsters like, Jude Bellingham, for example, they throw in a bid for Jude Bellingham and it's actually competitive. It's actually, he might join Al Ittihad instead of Real Madrid. That's when truly they start their ascension to becoming a top 5 league and actually competing with Serie A, Premier League, these types of leagues. But until then, they're just another MLS where a type of league where washed players go. You know what I mean? MLS is trying to change the narrative on them being a washed league where all the old washed players go, and they're trying to sign young players and develop them and sell them on. Saudi League has to do that. But what I think separates them from the MLS, because MLS, they could only offer so much money after a certain point, so it's inevitable that these young players, once they get really good, they're going to leave. Because European football is just where more money is than America. You're going to make more money. You're going to be playing for a better club. You have a chance to win the Champions League, all these different things that America can't offer you. But what Saudi can offer you, let's just play a role play. Let's say you're an 18-year-old youngster and Saudi League calls you. You're a youth academy. You haven't burst onto the scene yet. You're just the best player in the academy. You're expected to be the next big thing. Saudi League calls you and says, we'll give you a 50 million contract for 4 years. For an 18-year-old kid, that's a very enticing offer because they've never had any kind of money ever. So that's what Saudi League has to do. If they can do that and actually pull young talent and keep them, that's when they can become a top 5 league. But until then, I think the ceiling for them is just to become another MLS type of league where, sure, they're going to have some good players, but they're eventually just going to get poached off and go to Real Madrid, go to Newcastle, go to Arsenal, these types of bigger clubs in Europe. That's their ceiling for me right now. But if they find a way to get the youth academy system going in Saudi, then I think they can actually become a top 5 league because they have the money to do it. But right now, they can't get the young players. There's no way to entice them, and they can't develop them, quite frankly. That's what's holding them back, and that's what will continue to hold them back. Benzema is not making you a top 5 league at age 36 or whatever, age 37. But getting a good youngster, getting a lot of good youngsters, developing them, that's what's going to make you a top 5 league. And can Saudi League do that? We don't know. That's what remains to be seen.
I mean, yeah, like that's what it would take because at the end of the day, no matter what, they're never going to catch the Premier League. They're never going to catch La Liga. I don't think they'll ever get close to the Bundesliga. Like, you're not going to catch these leagues that just have so many years and decades ahead of you of just pedigree and history and, just nostalgia because these youngsters grow up idolizing these players. They want to be just like them.
Exactly. No youngster grows up and says, I want to play for Al Ittihad. No one says that. They say, I want to play for Real Madrid. I want to play for Barcelona. I want to play for Arsenal, Chelsea, these clubs, Manchester United. No one says, I want to grow up and play for Al Ittihad.
Yeah, because
it just doesn't happen.
You're going to run into players like Jude Bellingham that would turn down more money to go to City and take less to go to Real Madrid just because it's Real Madrid.
Yeah.
So you're gonna look. They can do their best to develop the next Kylian Mbappe in Saudi, and they can offer him $3 trillion. But when one of those teams, a Barcelona, or Real Madrid, or a Manchester City, or Man United, come calling, and obviously they know it's going to be less money. You have to take it just because.
But what I will say though, I do think that some players would stay if they offer a considerable sum of money. I mean, we've seen it in the past. Obviously, we've seen over players like Hulk, Oscar when they went to China. I think to a certain extent, but what I'm saying is they have to get a lot of them. Obviously, I'm not talking about one or two. I'm talking right now. I'm talking about they would get one or two, but they have to find a way to keep most of them. That's the thing.
I think they have a better chance of just trying to have their own academies and developing their own talent, because I mean that's the more people that would stay loyal to, because it's like, oh, that's home, that's my home.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to just get this random Brazilian kid from Brazil, 16 years old, offer him 30-50 million and then he's gonna leave anyway just because he's made all his money.
Yeah.
You paid him this so much money when
now
he's
he can
young.
go to Real Madrid.
Now he can go to where he wants, and he'll still be making. You're acting like he's gonna be working minimum wage here.
Yeah.
Like that's always gonna be the problem. That's what that's the name of the game, because these top leagues have just monopolized it to where it's them or bust. I mean, these guys are already planning to make their own super league, for Christ's sake. They're not dumb. They know that no one's ever gonna pass them. No one's gonna catch them. But I'm all for Saudi giving it a try. I mean, I'm here for it.
Well, it's what I'll say about Saudi before we move on to the last kind of talking point. What I'll say about Saudi is I give them props because it seems as if they're going all in. They're trying whatever business project or model that they have right now, they're actually going through with their plan. Now, is it going to work? I don't know. But they're committing a lot of money into signing these players, trying to promote the league, trying to get the World Cup and make these things happen in Saudi. I'll give them credit for sticking to their plan. I don't know if it's going to work, but I give them credit for that. Ultimately, though, their plan to sign these old players like we talked about and bring them to the Saudi League to promote the league, and what they've done already, 100% officially confirmed. Benzema signs for Al Ittihad. He was announced today, obviously, as a Real Madrid fan. How are you feeling right now? Benzema's officially left the club. He's gone. He's playing in Saudi next to Ronaldo.
What a weird roller coaster of like just emotions that was, just because there was the reports that he was confirmed, and then Benzema came out saying, what announcement? What would I even come out and say? As if, he didn't know anything about these reports. And then just for him to say, psych, never mind, I'm taking the money.
Mm-hmm.
So, I kind of already expected it before he even said that, because it's like, it's just too much money to turn down. And, he's done his service. He's done his time. He deserves this. I mean, he's the greatest nine of his generation, in my opinion. So he deserves to make this generational wealth where his kids will have money. So I can't blame him for that. And I'm just, I think the people in the Saudi League should be fucking shaking in their boots, because look, he just came off a season where he scored 30 plus, and he had some injuries here. He didn't play as much games as he should have. I think we still had 2 good solid seasons at the top of the game still in him. So God knows what he's gonna do to that league. He's gonna look like some R9 fucking prodigy there. But I mean, other than that, obviously it hurts, but it's the name of the game. It's football. People get old, people leave. So I mean,
yeah. Well, look, like I said, I agree with what you say. Ultimately, Benzema, he's done everything he had to do for Real Madrid. He was basically a servant for the club. He's been arguably a top 5 Real Madrid legend now that it's all said and done. I've seen people make the argument he's a top 5 legend in Real Madrid history. He's done everything that there is to do for the club. He leaves the club tied with Marcelo for the most trophies won at Real Madrid, which is just an incredible feat. There is nothing left for Benzema to do at Real Madrid, so I understand why he takes this generational wealth. I think 200 million per season for 2 seasons. I mean, you have to take that. He'd be stupid not to take it, and he took it. So what I'll say, though, I'm disappointed. I'm not necessarily upset at Benzema or anything like that, but I'm disappointed that he didn't ride it out for one last dance with Kroos and Modric and those guys from the three-peat team, because it seems as if they're going to leave next season. Benzema basically just expedited the process and left one season before them. And I would have liked to have seen them. I don't know if they would have won the Champions League next season or not, but I would have liked to have seen them make one last run for it as a group, because basically once Benzema, Carvajal, Cruz, and Modric leave, the Real Madrid 3P team is gone. Everyone's gone. Ramos is gone, Casemiro gone, Ronaldo gone, Bale, even Asensio now gone. Marcelo gone. Everyone's gone from Real Madrid. So I would have liked to have seen Benzema stick around for one last dance with the legends, but ultimately he decided to make the move early, and Modric and Cruz, they're still going to ride it out for their last dance. I think it puts Madrid in a tough spot, but I understand why Benzema did what he did, and ultimately I respect the move. And I mean, like I said, he has nothing left to accomplish at age 35. He's done everything. So it's almost poetic in a way. The first club that he played against for Real Madrid, got his first assist for Real Madrid, was against Al Ittihad in a friendly. And now, I think 14 years later or whatever, he signs for Al Ittihad. It's kind of poetic. It's like Florentino Perez had the script the whole time.
He had the script. No, yeah, I mean, it's just the name of the game.
But obviously, that's not all. Al Ittihad, the super. First of all,
Al Ittihad
won the Saudi League over Cristiano Ronaldo and Al Nassr. This season, they're going to be in the FIFA Club World Cup. So they're going to play against whoever wins the Champions League of Man City or Inter in the Club World Cup, potentially. And now they have Benzema, and they have just signed Chelsea legend N'Golo Kante. And look, normally, you would pass it off because I'm the Chelsea fan, but I'm just going to take it on this one. I am extremely disappointed about N'Golo Kante leaving the club. First of all, N'Golo Kante is a Chelsea legend, a Premier League legend, a footballing legend. He is truly one of the greatest midfielders, not only Chelsea has ever seen, but the Premier League has ever seen, potentially football has ever seen. That is how good this guy was. And just 2 seasons ago, in the Champions League final against Man City, he dropped a world-class man-of-the-match performance, led Chelsea to that victory. So it's not like he's washed. What ultimately is holding back Kante and why he had to make this deal was because of the injuries. It's unfortunate, but the injuries last season truly held him back, because I still think he's still capable of playing at the highest level. I think that if Chelsea re-signed Kante and he was fully fit next season, he would have been perfectly fine for us. He still would have been class. Now he's going to the Saudi League because of the fact you just can't rely on him. Unfortunately, as good as Kante is, and even right now as good as he is, you just can't trust him. How long is he really going to be fit for? Can he? You have your doubts if he's even going to be able to be fit for half of your matches. And ultimately, that's not going to work. At the highest level, it's just not going to work. So I understand why Kante left, and I understand why Chelsea let him go. It's just disappointing, though, because any time you see a legend, and I mean a legend, leave the club, it's going to be disappointing. And Chelsea, first of all, they have their midfield problems as it is. They had to make midfield signings even before this transfer happened. And now, Chelsea, first of all, you can't replace N'Golo Kante. There's no replacement on the market. Even if you had $400 million to spend, unlimited money, Saudi money, it doesn't matter. You can't replace N'Golo Kante, what he brought to the team. You can't replace that. So all Chelsea can really do now is try to sign potentially 3 midfielders in this transfer window, 3 starting caliber midfielders in this transfer window, to not only replace Kante, but replace the other issues we've had in the midfield, and hope that we have a competent midfield next season. Obviously, we've speculated for a long time that Kante may leave the club. It's finally come, but Chelsea's in a really rough spot right now. This doesn't really change anything too much, but I think it is disappointing. It's sad, and I think every Chelsea fan is a bit heartbroken right now that Kante officially leaves the club. But I mean, what can you do at the end of the day?
I mean, I would echo a lot of things you said. I think I do agree that I think it's just something that had to happen because Kante was just no longer available. I mean, the best thing to be is available for your team, and he just wasn't that. And even when he did come back, he just didn't look the same because it's hard to have his play style. The way he played is impossible to sustain that for such a long stint. Because he was the engine man. He was the guy that always was moving, always ran. He was everywhere on the pitch. And his body couldn't keep up with it. His body started to break down a lot easier, and he just picked up these injuries. And there was a point to where he was injured. And while he was out, Chelsea had switched 3 fucking managers.
Yeah.
And they had signed like 6 players. So he's coming back. So like, who the hell are these people? Like, it's just something that needed to happen, and obviously, did he go on a free or
It's a free, yeah.
he went on a free? I mean, obviously, it sucks to lose a player of that caliber for free, but I doubt you would have been able to get very much for him at this current stage. But I think Chelsea should just be happy they got the best out of him. I mean, the best years of N'Golo Kante's career was at Chelsea. That's really all you can ask for from a player, from one of your all-time greats, a legend. Is that where was their best years? And that was in that jersey, the blue, at the bridge. So look, you got all you could out of them, because I think it's better. I'd rather see players leave at the top of their game than just kind of stay and to kind of like a shadow of themselves, because
kind of ruins their legacy in a bit,
Yeah.
because you get a bad taste in your mouth about the player. Oh, well, he was bad his last 2 seasons, and he's still a legend, but he was he cost the team a couple games.
Yeah, because it's like, what's the point? You just want to have him out there for nostalgia, because what are we trying? At the end of the day, you're trying to win games, and nostalgia isn't going to win you games just because, oh my God, we remember what N'Golo Kante did in 2017, 2018.
That is a fantastic point, and I just want to reiterate it once again, because look, many Chelsea fans are going to be upset that we've let N'Golo Kante go, but at the end of the day, the player that you think Kante is, he's not anymore. So us losing him, we needed midfield help before we had lost Kante, and now after we've lost Kante, we still need the same midfield help. Our midfield, it was going to be a wreck, whether we had Kante in it or Kante out of it. So nostalgia doesn't win you football games. Thinking about how good Kante was, in 2021, 2020, whatever year you want, 2018 for the World Cup, that's not going to win you games right now in 2023. And Chelsea, they need to make young, fresh midfield signings. They need to get the new Kante potentially, and not that you can replace him. And keeping Kante around, making extremely high wages is not necessarily going to get you in the right direction for where Chelsea is going right now. Pretty much in a complete rebuild. Chelsea's in a total rebuild. Keeping Kante, it's not really moving the needle.
Keeping a player of that high of wages, especially, yeah. I think it was a good move. I think is something that they had to do, get that off the books so they can make some room for another signing. I think, obviously that's probably a different talk about for another day. Declan Rice out there, they got to get in that race, because that would be a good little player, a nice little player to put in there. But also they have people like Nkunku coming in, so it's like, it's a bit of a changing of the guard, completely different players, but I mean, Nkunku could kind of really do anything. I mean, you just put him on the pitch. He's kind of one of those guys that say, just get me in, get me on the pitch, and I'll do whatever needs to be done. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna hurt, but let legends get old. People get old, so I mean, it's how it is.
My final question, just a hypothetical question, quick answer here. If you could pick any player right now to join the Saudi League, who would you want to see join the Saudi League?
Lionel Messi. That's it. Just Lionel Messi.
You would want to, no explanation?
No explanation. I think just saying Messi is enough, because I like to see Ronaldo versus Messi again. I mean, fuck it. Let's see it. If they're, I don't care that they're not at the peak of their abilities anymore. It's just putting them back out there again. Let them share the pitch again more. So that's the only one I can think of. Other than that, Messi or fuck it. Please take Hazard. Take Hazard. Take him.
Well, look, I wouldn't be surprised to see potentially Eden Hazard take that deal if he doesn't retire.
If he doesn't retire.
I want Messi to return to Barcelona, but if it's not going to happen, I would love to see Messi versus Ronaldo, Al Nassr versus Al Hilal in the Saudi League. I mean, I'm watching that, no doubt. I will be there no matter what. I will be sitting there in front of my TV watching that, because at the end of the day, that's something. Look, we've seen it a lot, obviously, throughout their whole careers with Barcelona versus Real Madrid, Ronaldo versus Messi. But seeing one last dance, Al Hilal versus Al Nassr for potentially this.
Would it even be a possibility? Al Nassr get Messi, and we see Messi, Ronaldo link up on one team. Could that be some? Look,
that would be crazy.
Look, the state has to make that a thing, because look, if you want box office, look, I swear to God, you didn't even mention this. What would it make me watch the Saudi League? That would make me watch the Saudi League to see. I don't give a fuck if they're 80 years old. Literally, Messi and Ronaldo linking up for a goal from Ronaldo assisted by Messi. To see with my eyes, it's not a FIFA match. I'll be. That's something you gotta like hang up on your wall. Just be like, I saw that.
Yeah.
So that's what I would want. That's my dream, because that's what I wanted to happen. Before Ronaldo went to United, I wanted to go to Paris Saint-Germain, but we were robbed of that. But I think the football world either needs, like you said, Messi to go back to Barca, or fuck it, Messi to Al Nassr.
I can't even add to that. I agree. I 100% agree. So, look, you're gonna have to let us know in the comments down below. What do you think of what Saudi is doing right now? Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Do you have any kind of opinion on it? What do you think about Benzema and Kante and all of these European stars going to the league? And then let us know in the comments down below. What do you think Saudi has to do to truly become a top 5 league, if it's even possible? Let us know in the comments down below. But I think, without further ado, we can wrap up this video.
And we can get out of here.
So I'm Zach.
I'm G.
And we'll see y'all next time for another video. Peace.